Hello, my name is Sérgio Ávila. I'm from the University of the Azores, and I'd like to begin this talk by thanking Esther for her kind invitation. And my talk will be about the geoheritage of Santa Maria Island, the road to the PaleoPark Santa Maria. So the Azores, as all of us probably know, is located in the central Atlantic, and it is made of 9 islands, 9 volcanic oceanic islands, and there is fossils in just one island, Santa Maria, the easternmost and also the oldest island of the Azores. We have been studying Santa Maria for the last 20 years, and every year we organize a multidisciplinary team that studies the geology, the biology, and also the paleontology of Santa Maria Island. And this year, the 16th edition of these international workshops that we called Paleontology in Atlantic Islands occurred in just this late September. So in Santa Maria, we have fossils from 2 different ages. The oldest ones are from the Pliocene, and the other fossils are much younger, and they are from the Pleistocene. All outcrops, or the majority of the outcrops around Santa Maria, are, as we can see here in this slide, are located around the shores of the island. In order to have access to these outcrops, we usually go by boat. And this is how we do the work. We have a very good skipper, and so we jump on the shore, and that's the way we have explored the island year after year. Most of our work has relied on an holistic approach, and this strategy has been done since the early times of our work in Santa Maria. For this talk, I will have time only to explore 2 of these 4 different issues. So the first one is the geological processes, the biogeographical processes is the second one, glacial interglacial cycles are very, very important, and the paleontology. My talk will deal with the geological processes and with paleontology. On what regards the geological processes, we have studied the island geology, we have studied island ontogenetic states, and we have also studied the island shelf and the shelf sedimentary bodies, as well as the island slope. All of these issues, these geological issues, are really important for our understanding of the evolutionary processes that occurred in Santa Maria Island. So we have used this island as a case study, and I hope I will have succeeded in telling you the importance of this island even in international terms, because Santa Maria is really outstanding in what regards the paleontological heritage that this island has. So this is the geological history of the island. I will not go into further details or will explore this much, but there is one item that deserves to be called attention. So the first island of Santa Maria, as we can see here, the first island of Santa Maria emerged around 6 million years ago, but it was destroyed by marine erosion and it disappeared underwater. So we probably had one stage of this island that throughout its geological history, the first island disappeared and originated a huge guayo, that is a volcanic oceanic island that was raised by marine erosion, and only later the second island re-emerged due to volcanic processes that reoccurred in the Santa Maria. And we were able to establish that Santa Maria Island first went through a subsidence trend that had a rate of about 100 meters per million year, and then an uplift trend of about 60 meters per million year. And the reversal from a subsidence to an uplift trend occurred at around 3.5 million years ago. This is a scheme that shows also the detail of our studies that in this case are led by another geologist, Rui Portal, one of the world experts on the geological processes that occur around the shores of volcanic oceanic islands. So we have an interaction between the destruction that is made by marine erosion and the accretion that is made by lava flows that occur during a volcanic eruption and that increase the area of the volcanic oceanic island. The work that was made about the marine terraces elucidated us as well on what regards how many of these marine terraces as well as terrestrial terraces occur in Santa Maria Island due to the uplift trend of the island. And so we are able first, this is a paper that was published in Marine Geology by Ritchie, and he was able to see that 9 subaerial marine terraces were evident as a result of the uplift trend of Santa Maria. But we also studied the submarine terraces that are around the island, and we were able to see, using also boomer seismic profiles, that the first calculations by Ricardo Ramalho should be corrected. And so we have between about 3.6, 3.7 million years ago and 2.15 million years ago, we have an uplift rate of about 69 meters per million a year, and then it decreases from 2.15 million years ago to the recent times. It decreases to an uplift trend of 42.4 meters per million year. And so this correction led us to the following conclusions on what regards the geological aspects of Santa Maria. So here in this slide you see a series of subaerial terraces that are evident especially on the eastern shore of the island, and when we add the submarine terraces we have a series of 9 versus 5, 9 subaerial terraces and 5 submerged terraces. And what is really important on this scheme is that these terraces are polygenetic. And by this I mean that all of them, with no exception, were eroded by different high stands and low stands of the sea level during interglacial and glacial periods respectively. And so this answers to one of the questions that we had on what regards the marine fossils in Santa Maria. We were always asking us why we did not find marine fossils with an age that is older than the last interglacial. Now we understand why. The reason for this is that between 1.7 and the last interglacial, this is the period where this last subaerial terrace was eroded, and this subaerial terrace was eroded during low stands associated to glacial periods, but also high stands associated to interglacial periods. And that's why we only have fossils from the last interglacial, because all the other fossils that should be here in this marine terrace were eroded either by subaerial erosion or by marine erosion. Now, regarding paleontology, the second issue that I want to explore in further detail during this talk, for paleontology we heavily rely on checklists. Checklists of fossils of different marine groups are really important, because it is the quantitative data of these checklists that gives us the real hints on what regards our quest looking for the patterns that are involved on the evolutionary patterns that we want to understand, besides the biogeographical processes that occur on these volcanic oceanic islands. And it is precisely the very high quality of our data that allowed us to establish some of these patterns for the first time, as well as to document geographical range expansions and contractions that theoretically we are waiting to see during glacial and interglacials occurring in these Atlantic archipelagos. On what regards the Pliocene fauna, we have studied the geology of these outcrops. We have studied the setting of all of these deposits, and we have published a series of papers describing the marine fauna. We have deduced as well from all the data that we have collected, we have deduced how these outcrops were formed, the paleoecology of the marine fauna that lived in these outcrops, and for this we have used techniques related with taphonomy, of course, and all of this has allowed us to establish paleoecological interpretations on what regards the origin of these fossils and outcrops. Most of the times we think that volcanic eruption is something that destroys life, and most of the times this is so, but not in oceanic islands and not in what regards marine animals, because when they are buried due to a volcanic eruption nearby, they are sealed, and all the animals that live in the area that was affected by this volcanic eruption, they will be given a possibility to fossilize. And many million years later, due to marine erosion, sometimes we are able to see these fossils, and that's precisely what happens in Santa Maria. Santa Maria is old enough so that marine erosion took its role, and in very different outcrops we see very different organisms, and some of them are really, really rare in a volcanic oceanic island context, and that's precisely what makes Santa Maria so interesting for the paleontological world. So this is the Pleistocene fauna from the last interglacial. These are many of the gastropods and bivalves that occur on 5 or 6 Pleistocene outcrops that we know from the last interglacial, and all of these species still occur nowadays in the Azores. But these animals that we see here in this slide are important because they do not occur nowadays in the Azores. So in the first row we have a series of species that are thermophilic. That is, these are species that nowadays are not able to live in the Azorean Islands because the temperatures of the seawater are not compatible. This bivalve, the Leosolenus aristatus, that was formerly called Myoforceps aristatus, nowadays does not occur in the Azores because there is no available habitat. It drills holes in calcareous algae that during last interglacial attained as much as 50-60 centimeters high, and nowadays these algae do not occur in the Azores. Probably also related with the temperature of the seawater that is lower than during the last interglacial. And then we have a group of sandy bivalves that are usually associated with low depths between the intertidal, and they go down to 50-60 meters depth, and these 3 bivalves disappeared from the Azores because during the last glacial episode sea level lowered a lot, lowered dozens of meters, and it reached the island's slope, and when it reached the highland slope it was not possible anymore for these animals to live because the sand that was and is taken away from the beaches during winter was removed from the island shores and was lost for heavy salt depths. And so whenever highland slope is reached during sea level lowering, and if sea level goes and drops below the island shelf, this means that around the island most of the sand is lost. And if the sand is lost, all animals that live associated to fine sand will be lost as well. So this is what happened to these sandy bivalves. And when we published this paper, we didn't realize the importance of what we were publishing, because this didn't happen only in Santa Maria. This happened in all of the islands worldwide, and it explains a lot. For instance, it explains why in volcanic oceanic islands, endemic, archipelagic endemic, that is in bivalves that are associated with fine sand and that are endemic to an island or an archipelago, are so rare in volcanic oceanic islands. Here we can see the paleobiodiversity of Santa Maria Island. There is a lot of different marine groups for which we have data in the fossil record. For instance, we have algae, we have polychaete annelids, brachiopods, bryozoans, mysticeti, this is baleen whales, we have odontoceti, we have corals, coelenterata, crustaceans, echinodermata, bony fishes and sharks. We have foraminifers, and the most abundant are, as usual in the fossil record, mollusks, bivalves and gastropods, as well as some arthropoda and theropoda. In total, the oldest fauna is, or was in 2018 when we published this paper, it was about 191 species, and 10 of them were endemic to the Azores. Today, we know that the current number is 218 for the Pliocene, and the number for the last interglacial period has increased from 146 to 155. When we analyze in detail the fossil record, we see that there is a clear Pliocene marine turnover of the marine fauna that occurred around the island of Santa Maria. And this is evident when we look for gastropods. This is evident when we look for the teeth of the sharks, for instance, or if we analyze the echinoderms marine fauna, as well as the ostracods. Even in the ichnofossils, this is evident. There is species that nowadays do not occur anymore in the Azores, because from the Pliocene to the recent times, it occurred a drastic change in the biogeographical provinces. There was a shift on the marine biogeographical boundaries, and this is related with a trend of a global climate cooling that occurred in our planet. So in this slide we show precisely this shrinking of the tropical biogeographical province that in the Pliocene, in Miocene times, occurred, and the border between the subtropical biogeographical province that is here in orange and the tropical biogeographic province that is in red occurred around the border of the southern British Isles. And nowadays this border is north of Cape Verde and south of Canaries. And this is precisely the reason why Cape Verde is so different from Madeira, Selvagens and Canary Islands. In 2016 we published a paper that deals and analyzes the relevance of all of the outcrops that occur and that we know in Santa Maria Island. It was really interesting to see that two of these outcrops, according to a methodology that was developed by José Brilha, should be considered as of international relevance. These outcrops are Ponta do Castelo and Pedra Pica. Pedra Pica especially deserves our attention because this is the largest worldwide coquina in any of the 20,000 known volcanic oceanic islands that we have in our planet today. And this coquina has a large area. Most of it now is underwater, and it is the largest multi-specific coquina. We know, for instance, in Cabo Verde, we know some coquinas that are larger in area than Pedra Pica in Santa Maria Island. But these Cabo Verdean coquinas are very low diversity. They have 1, 2, 3 species, not more than that. And then Santa Maria and at Pedra Pica, we have about 30 to 40 different species occurring at Pedra Pica. And besides this, Santa Maria is really important, and Pedra Pica as well, because it has some fossils that are very, very rare in islands. And these fossils are whale bones, baleen whale bones, that occur in several different outcrops around Santa Maria. And here you have Francisco Garcia Talavera that was extracting one of these fragments of a bone. This is taken from a different outcrop in the northern section, in the northern part of Santa Maria Island, that is called Cre. So all these different outcrops, all this biodiversity, this paleobiodiversity, and the importance and relevance, the international relevance of some of these outcrops led us to try to protect all the paleontological heritage of Santa Maria Island. So besides analyzing the geodiversity, we also analyzed the paleobiodiversity, and when all of this was put together, we came up with an idea that began in 2010. So here now I will explain you the road to the PaleoPark Santa Maria. In 2010 I was able to participate in a congress where Geológico presented the PaleoPark initiative that was to be developed during the following years under the auspices of the International Paleontological Association. And so for this to occur in Santa Maria, the entire island should be protected. And so we needed to do a lot of work. So we first had to study the fossils, we also had to study the outcrops, and we had to analyze how important these were. So between 2012 and 2014, as a result of the first studies that we published, we were able to establish in Santa Maria 4 different terrestrial trails related with the paleontological heritage that were available for a sustainable touristic use. And we also made something that is unique in the entire Atlantic Ocean. We have a maritime tour around the island. In 2016, we were able, with the support of the regional government of the Azores, to build a science center in Santa Maria regarding with the importance of the paleontological heritage of the island that we called the House of the Fossils. So this museum is now the center in the island where tourists go, they visit the science center, they visit the permanent exhibition that we have in this museum, and then they are informed on what regards the 4 trails that are available in the island, and also what they must do in order to go around the island by boat. Two years later, in 2018, finally, also with the support of the International Paleontological Association, the regional government of the Azores, we were able to develop the concept of PaleoPark. So nowadays there is legislation that protects all of the island and all of their outcrops that are scattered not only around the island but also in the inner parts, inner sections of the island as well. And so the entire island of Santa Maria is nowadays the first worldwide PaleoPark that we were able to produce, and this is an arrow in Africa, as we in Portugal say. So we are able to legally protect not just an outcrop, not only the fossils, but whole of the island. That's a different concept that we should now export and apply in other places where the paleontological heritage is as well so important as it is in Santa Maria. Our work has been advertised in the local media and national media as well. And we have also contributed writing books to divulge the outstanding paleontological heritage of Santa Maria. And during the last 5 or 6 years we have produced a series of TV programs that are broadcasted in the national TV channels in Portugal. This is the best way of divulging our work, really. And so these are the news related with the PaleoPark Santa Maria, and I really think that this concept, this idea, should be applied in other islands of the Atlantic archipelagos. In the Canary Islands, for instance, there is the paleontological heritage is so important that it should use the same concept, and this idea should be sold to the Cabildo to be a way of protecting more efficiently the fossils that occur in these islands. And that's it. Thank you very much for your attention.